Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. The weather has been much nicer out. I have to say, this summer was dreadful, which beats down our homes and our offices. But nice weather does not mean that our homes and offices are safe. Now, that I'm not telling you to run for the hills, because Water Cleanup of Florida is here to save the day for you. Whether it's water issues or fire issues or a home or our offices, either way, Water Cleanup of Florida is there to take care of you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just call 954-579-0356. Michael, George, Robert, their entire team will make it simple for you. Get the job done, seamless, easy, and it'll look brand new because of their licensed, insured, certified contractors on staff. 954-579-0356. And I mean it, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Reach out to them, and they'll take care of you. Check them out on their website, WCUFL.com, at Water Cleanup FL on the socials. Google has you covered in life and in regards to Water Cleanup of Florida. Check them out with over 80 5-star reviews. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. The Miami Dolphins have been very gutsy this year as opposed to years past, and they've been a lot of fun. We talk about them and the NFL at large each and every week with the one and only John Congemi on the Pigskin Playbook. We bring you that here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
I'll tell you what, we don't want to take too long either to get to this gentleman, because it's always great to have. Wow, again, I mean, is that a startling presence? It's like they put a movie star on the show. It's shocking this early on a Monday morning to look this good. John Congemi, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, guys. How are you guys doing?
Good morning, John. How you doing?
We're doing just fine. Yeah, we were talking a little bit. I doubt you had a chance to catch this because it was on after the game, and you were obviously at the stadium, I would imagine. But yeah, the Jets-Giants game was just absolutely putrid. I mean, one of the worst games in the history of the National Football League, contested yesterday. The Jets do prevail, and somehow are sitting there. What are they, 4-3 now? Yes.
Yeah.
4-3. With an abysmal offensive performance yesterday against the Giants. And then, what wasn't Tommy DeVito Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas? What was it?
I think so. I think you're right.
Funny how? I thought I saw him say that.
I don't shine shoes anymore.
He didn't either. I mean, he didn't shine much at all. -9. I think that was the total passing yardage for the Giants in that game yesterday. That was ridiculous. All right. The Patriots, sweeping the Patriots is no small accomplishment, as bad as the Patriots appear to be. Mac Jones, again, looked inept throughout a lot of that ball game, although the Patriots take the lead. That's the second time now in recent last couple of ball games at Hard Rock that the Finns have been trailing, which is unusual because they always come out with that scripted opening drive. What was your overall assessment yesterday? I mean, it seemed to me like the Finns were pretty much in command of that ball game from the time I tuned in on.
Yeah, guys, it was the second week in a row that the Dolphins didn't start fast, but it was also the second week in a row that I had no fear of them winning the game. They scored a lot of points at home. New England came into the game averaging 14.4 points a game. And you knew that was going to be the high water mark, give or take 3 points one way or 3 points the other way. So it was going to be only a matter of time until you get a couple explosive plays, you get a Mac Jones turnover that turns into points, and then you're going to get your 14-point separation, and you're going to feel comfortable going into a week where you have to face the Kansas City Chiefs, who fall on the road to Denver and have to travel a little bit longer route to Germany and not getting there until Thursday night. So I think it bodes well for the Dolphins that they found a way to get through some early adversity at home, but you never really felt threatened because of the two teams and the caliber of opponent that you were playing. And you knew that Miami still was going to spring loose Waddle and Hill at some point for explosive plays, if not for explosive touchdowns.
A couple things that I think that I don't say been dispelled, but look, I like when the team starts fast, but one thing we have talked about is you have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to slow down the game and end games. And yeah, that the drive where you knew the Patriots were going to score. That's just how these games have gone. They cut it to a touchdown. But the fact that the Dolphins were able to get the ball back, then have one of those really long drives. They didn't have to chuck it down the field. They ran the crap out of the ball. They got a ton of first downs. They made plays, and then they capped it off with a touchdown with like 3 or 4 minutes left, going up by 2 scores. And then the defense said, nope, we're done. Jalen Phillips, sack, another sack, and they ended the game. The fact they were able to close that game out is something that we haven't always seen from this team, especially against the Patriots. Like, we weren't biting our teeth. Like you said, you could feel they were shutting it down. And in years past, that was an issue for them. And the other thing is, for all that people are talking about them beating crap teams, well, ask the Bills about the Patriots. Ask the Chiefs about yesterday. Ask the Niners about 2 of their last 3 games. For what it's worth, you only play so many good teams. Most of the teams you play are average or bad. That's just the league. You have to be able to win those games. And the fact that they're not only winning them, they're winning them convincingly is a breath of fresh air. Defoe's choked, but he said usually if they went down 7-0, you're like, oh, shit, they're fucked. Like,
I was in.
You know, they'll be fine. Like, even I am like, whatever. They're going to score 20. Like, you know it. Like, that is a totally different thing. And the fact that Mike McDaniel, as much as he takes chances and frustrates the crap out of me, he never changes his demeanor. And he's always like, we'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be fine. Like, it feels like the team sort of embodies that. And the fact that they're now, they went 6-2 with a ton of injuries. You're going to get Connor Williams back. You're going to get Howard back. You're going to get all these guys back for this stretch run, something they didn't do last year, something they sort of struggled with at the end of the year. They've set themselves up in a way a lot of these teams haven't.
I think you're right, Lubie, in terms of, first, the mentality of the team. I don't think they flinch when an opposing team goes up 10, goes up 7. They know that they're going to score points. Now, caliber of opponent, you can only play who's on your schedule. That's the old adage, right? Everybody always says, whoever's next, we're going to play. But it just so happens that the 2 losses were to very good football teams that are going to be around at the end of the year. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Miami Dolphins go to Germany and lose against Kansas City Chiefs. You know, they could easily as win that game or come away with a loss. But that outcome to me doesn't matter, because I feel that the Miami Dolphins, as long as they can secure home field advantage for the first playoff game or maybe the second, if they have to go on the road for the championship, saying that they win the first 2, you flip a coin, because you're taking all these learning experiences of losing in Buffalo, of losing in Philly. You play Cincinnati, or you play Kansas City on a neutral field in Germany. You know what? As a Dolphin fan, you're saying, this is our window, and this year, the next year, and the year after. This is our window to win a Super Bowl, or at least to get there and play for one. You don't really care where you play. You'd love to play at home, and you're close enough now that if you can beat a team like Kansas City, especially not having to travel to Arrowhead, you're going to feel good about it. You're probably going to be sitting atop the AFC East. And then it's going to come down to the final game of the season. You're going to tread through the Tennessees of the world and whoever else is on the schedule. At the end, you got to play the Jets twice. You get the Raiders, okay, but you're going to get to that game and say, if we can win a game at home at the end, we may have home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs.
Yep.
And as far as fighting adversity through the players, you mentioned you get Ramsey back on the edge. You're going to get X back next week. I talked to him before the game. He probably could have went.
He was fine.
And I said, you know what? You're probably good for an interception today, too, because you're going up against your old friend Devontae Parker. You know how to play him. You know they're going to throw him a back shoulder fade, and you're probably going to get an interception. He started laughing. So I just think that the way the offensive line came together yesterday, they had multiple pieces. They didn't run the football for 100 yards, but they didn't lose the game either. Nope. They had Lamb and Smith sharing left tackle duties. You're going to get Armstead back. Okay, so that's going to be a plus. Maybe you get him for 4 games, but it's 4 more games, and you just lost him for that, right? Yep. You had Jones plug in at left guard, which is an abnormality. You got Eichenberg at center. You get Williams back probably next week. Yep. You had Cotton go in for Hunt at right guard, and you only had Austin Jackson at right tackle, who you were probably most worried about going into the season. So, this offensive line did a pretty good job. They've been running, they've been averaging over 160 yards per game. Yeah, they eked out 78 on the ground, but they ran it when they needed to.
They did.
They moved the chains when they needed to, and that's all that really mattered up front.
Did they dig up John Sandusky or something? I mean, I used to tease Mike Westhoff all the time that there should be an award for special, not special teams necessarily, but assistant coaches. Should have like an assistant coach of the year award because there's so many of them and they don't necessarily get that kind of recognition. Where somebody's deciding who was the best, but you would have to think, who is the Dolphins' offensive line coach? Because
kicking ass.
This guy would have to be a candidate. I mean, the way, never mind patchwork and makeshift. I mean, this has been a catastrophe up front, and it was supposed to be a suspect point of concern for the Dolphins to begin the season, even if they had everybody in place, including Armstead. So, who is this guy, and how the hell is he doing it?
Well, first of all, you have to give credit to the guys that are doing it because they've come a long way in this scheme that Mike McDaniel's brought in. With the outside runs and the way they're moving the pocket. I thought he called a really good game yesterday in terms of moving the pocket and allowing the linemen not to just say, okay, there's a target, 7 to 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and allow the New England defensive front seven to kind of zero in on them because there were spurts in that game where they got hands-on footballs, where they got hits on Tua. They were able to create pressure in the pocket. And Mike McDaniel decided, well, I'm going to use play action a heavy percent of the time and move people with motion to get guys open. Not only move the pocket, but move players in motion. And that's how they got the last touchdown. Two guys covering one guy in cover zero doesn't work because Jalen Waddle is running free down the middle of the field for an easy 31-yard touchdown. So I think that was a huge key to the adjustments the Dolphins made because of the injuries up front.
I'm laughing because they had a shot of Belichick after that play, and you could tell it was a blown coverage because two guys went with the receiver on the outside while Waddle just waltzed into the end zone. And you could tell that when they got back to the office, maybe some heads were going to roll because they absolutely screwed that up. A couple of other things. I mean, it's fun to watch. And we've been talking about this for years, John, and you've been part of these conversations. And Lubie and I always said, hey, if you're not going to win, at least be entertaining. And one of the most entertaining things that you could have going for you on a pro football team is a guy who can throw a bomb to a streaking wide receiver and in stride. Now, we had the luxury, and maybe we just got too accustomed to this when Danny Boy was slinging a rock, and there would be Clayton or Duper 5 yards behind a wide receiver. And I remember it was one of the few good things about the Orange Bowl. You could go up to the rooftop there and watch the game. I don't know if you ever watched it from like where the cameras were.
Yeah, I did.
And you would see, I remember being at like the 85 Bears game, and you would see Marino, he chucked the rock, and you had such a great perspective, just a perfect trajectory, and it was going to land like a feather in the guy's hands as he was stretched out. There was some criticism. I mean, we were dealing with this forever. Tannehill, I mean, that was the old joke that he could overthrow a small country, no matter how wide open the receiver was. The ball was going to be 10 yards down the field past him. Tua, was suspect also in that category. People thought he didn't have the arm strength to throw these bombs, but he's delivered like at least a dozen of them that I can think of that were just perfectly thrown balls and deep down the field.
I think people have the misconception when they say, hey, we're going to throw the deep ball, that every quarterback in the National Football League throws it 80 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like timing. It's usually between 40 and 45, 48 yards at the top, where you only have to throw it out there with enough air to let your receiver continue to run under it. Yep. And that shot to Hill was a perfect example. I don't know how many touchdowns that Tua from his college career. I would imagine in high school he did the same thing, but from a young quarterback to where he is now, in the left corner of the end zone, you could probably draw a box of about 5 by 5 and how many touchdowns he's thrown in that area. Looking off to his right, chucking it to the left. And I would credit a lot of his success, not only with the deep ball, but the intermediate pass with timing and footwork and being able to trust the receiver is going to be there when he's ready to deliver the football. I think the timing aspect, he doesn't hold it too long, because he knows he doesn't have elite. I mean, I'm talking Justin Herbert, throw it through the back end of the end zone from 80. But with these guys, they're so fast, you have to get the ball out on time, and you have to be able to give them an opportunity to continue at top speed to create that separation, and then kind of just, have the ball float underneath them, right? So the ball has to come out on time, and not only on the deep ball, but the intermediate shots that the Dolphins are so good at. That ball comes out, a couple pitter-pat steps in the pocket, the ball's out on time, and it looks like he's throwing it into just a mass of nowhere, and all of a sudden you get a streaking Dolphin receiver, name the name, and he's going to be flying across the middle to catch it. And I think that all has to go back to discipline and footwork, discipline and timing, good protection, but Tua having that clock in his head, knowing boom, 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 ball gone, boom, 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 ball gone. And the only thing that disrupts that is when you get pressure up the middle. And that's what the Eagles and the Bills were able to do to Tua. They were able to get pressure in the middle, allow the coverage to drop back underneath those in cuts, and it just looked like a mass of humanity in the middle instead of just open field the way the Dolphins normally see it.
All right, taking care of business. That's kind of what the Dolphins did yesterday. They sweep the Patriots. Now 6-2. I believe one of 4 teams. Are all the division leaders, John? Did I see this this morning when I was half asleep?
I believe
all
so.
the division leaders in the AFC are all 6-2.
Yes.
And so there are 4 6-2 teams in the AFC. However, I mean, and here we go. Another one of those crucible type of moments there. When they travel to Germany, so they catch a little bit of a break. I would think having this at a neutral site with the, the dubious, things that go along with schlepping a team to Europe for what'll be a 9:30, body clock game for these guys. They're going to be dead tired. And Casey, I mean, we were saying this throughout the season. They do not seem to possess anywhere near the explosiveness that we've seen from the Chiefs in the past on offense, including, I mean, a loss to a Denver team that you had thrown in the towel on a few weeks ago and wouldn't have given much of a chance. They had lost, I believe, 16 in a row to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Denver Broncos as a franchise. Mahomes was 12-0 against the Denver Broncos, and they kind of dominate that game. They shut out Kansas City in the second half. So are you not catching the Chiefs at seemingly an opportune time?
Yeah, you can take a look at both sides of the coin. All right, which Chiefs team are you going to get? Are you going to get a pissed off, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and defense that's relentless up front and come after you because they know this is a separation game for the end of the season in the AFC, right? Or are you going to get a team that is still kind of meandering around and can't find their way and having problems creating explosive plays where the Dolphins have a ton of confidence. I was looking at the schedule. Other than Buffalo at the end of the season, I think the Dolphins have maybe 8 games remaining after the Kansas City game, and they're probably going to be favored in at least 6 games, five for sure, possibly 6 games going down the stretch. So this game means more for the game before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
This game, this is where it comes down to, because Buffalo doesn't seem to be threatening anybody except for the Dolphins when they play, and they seem to play their best football against the Miami Dolphins. But other teams, you have to travel to Baltimore, and that'll be another, test for the end of the year. But Dallas comes to South Florida at Hard Rock Stadium, and other than that, you're rolling. So this is the game for the end of the year, of where you're going to be playing those playoff games. That's why it's so critical to win it.
It was entertaining also. I don't know if you had a chance to catch that. Stephen Ross doing the waddle.
I tried to look away.
Suite. It is Art Garfunkel guy, the president of the team. He had to smile as if that was like some good.
Well, that was part of his job description.
Yeah. I'm thinking, does this guy have the balls to tell Stephen Ross to knock
Stephen,
that
let's
off?
sit down. Not going great.
Listen, I know, Steve, you got a lot of cash wearing those pockets down, but Jesus, I mean, you don't have to embarrass us. It was good to see the guy having fun.
No,
It really
you know
was.
what it is.
Yeah.
You're affecting. You know that for all the things the Dolphin fans and Stephen Ross, the owner, has gone through for years with the Dolphins. The last thing you're going to do is kind of critique, right? What we're doing, critiquing him having a good time because, hey, let it go. Things are going great, right? So if he wants to get up and do the waddle or his version of it, God bless you. Go ahead and have at it.
If he wants to run a couple of pass patterns at this point, I wouldn't mind having him out there. All right, a lot more to talk about here. John Congemi and the Pigskin Playbook. We do this every Monday.
Another fun-filled Miami Dolphins victory. They head across the pond over to Europe to Germany to take on the Kansas City Chiefs next week. Their third good game. I don't know. Look, they played a bunch of teams that are and they've won. Good for them. The Bills can't say that. The Chiefs can't say that. Just losing to the Broncos, who the Dolphins hung 70 on, by the way. The Niners now have lost 3 in a row. The Eagles lost to a Jets team that just put up 13 against a battered and bruised bad Giants team. Everyone struggled against bad teams. So the fact that the Dolphins have held their own versus bad teams, that's good. Yes, you want to see them beat fellow contenders, playoff caliber teams. Well, they have a shot this weekend. Hopefully they'll be fully healthy. It was nice to see Jalen Ramsey get out there. It'd be great to see X back out there with his cohort. And hopefully Javon Holland's good as well. You want a full healthy Dolphins versus those Chiefs in their highly contested matchup this coming weekend in Frankfurt, Germany. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to everything we do. Hopefully you check out some of the things we do each and every morning from 8 to 9 right now. We're doing 8 to 9, South Florida Live. Check that out. Check us out. We do our national podcast, the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. Talked with longtime sports writer, now with The Athletic, Dan Pompei. He graded the top 100 NFL players ever. That right now is on the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. Also doing some things with No Filter. Each and every day we put out a short podcast there, more nationally based. NoFilter.net. Just go to Google. Just search Caffeine TV, The Morning Briefing. That's us right here. Our South Florida sports skewed commentary. The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.